I sat at the table watching the food grow cold just like my heart. Today was my birthday, but it was also Horace's birthday, Christiana's close male friend. I opened Horace's WeChat moments, and sure enough, there was a new post. Grateful for having you by my side every year on my birthday. Let's promise to celebrate every birthday together from now on. The photo showed two hands making a heart shape in front of a cake. One of the hands was Christiana's. She was wearing the necklace I had given her. I gave the post a like, put down my phone, and dumped all the dishes Christiana liked into the trash. Then I went to a restaurant to order food I enjoyed, celebrating my birthday alone. From now on, I'll make sure to enjoy every birthday for myself. Chapter 1 halfway through my meal, Christiana called me. Her voice sounded a little anxious. Claude, you saw Horace's post, didn't you? I saw it, I replied. I'll come back after celebrating his birthday. Next year, I'll spend it with you. Be mature, don't throw a tantrum, okay? In the past, I might have gone into a hysterical rage and started a big fight. Not anymore, I replied calmly. All right. The next morning, a little after 7 a.m., my phone rang, but the call ended after 3 rings. I picked it up and saw it was Christiana. She used to be too lazy to open the door with her key, so she'd always call me. 3 rings, then hang up. No matter what I was doing, I'd always rush to open the door for her. But not today. I tossed the phone aside and pulled the covers over my head to go back to sleep. The spare key was under the shoe rack by the door. She knew that. After staying up until 3 a.m. packing last night, I was still groggy. The phone rang a few more times, but I couldn't even be bothered to look. I don't know how much time passed before I groggily heard the door open. The loud bang of the door hitting the wall startled me, followed by the sound of the bedroom door being slammed open. Christiana's angry voice filled the room. Claude, why didn't you open the door for me? I called you so many times. You know I hate using the key to open the door. I opened my eyes and looked at her with neither sadness nor joy. I was too tired to hear it, I said. Christiana opened her mouth, but finally just said, I'm hungry. Hurry up and make me some porridge. I didn't sleep all night, and I need to eat something before catching up on rest. If it were before, I would have jumped up eagerly to make her breakfast. But now I simply replied, I'm tired too. Go buy yourself breakfast downstairs. Christiana was furious, but held it in. Are you still upset about me not being there for your birthday yesterday? No, you're overthinking it, I said. She didn't believe me and kept going. Horace is like a brother to me. His parents passed away early. If I don't celebrate his birthday with him, who will? Don't be so petty. If you keep acting like this, I'll really get mad. You're right. You should be there for him. I'm not upset, I replied. Unable to fall back asleep, I got up and went to the bathroom. Christiana grabbed my hand and reluctantly pulled a red string bracelet from her pocket. Here, stop being mad. This is your birthday gift. It's your zodiac year, so I remembered to get this for you. Looking at the cheap red string with its dangling metal charm that seemed so perfunctory, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. I thought Christiana's frugal living these past months was to save up for a meaningful gift for me. It turns out I was just deluding myself. I shook my wrist, where I had just put on a watch my mom sent me a few days ago. Thanks, but I already have a watch. It's inconvenient to wear this. You keep it for yourself. Christiana snapped, You say you're not mad, but now you're rejecting my gift? You used to be so happy with whatever I gave you. Now you're being picky. Christiana didn't earn much, and her birthday gifts for me were always inexpensive. Just a few bucks, sometimes even nothing at all. But I never minded. Every year for her birthday, I went out of my way to prepare something special. Just a week ago, I gave her a gold necklace. I was tired. Too tired to argue with her anymore. I took the red string and put it in my pocket. Thank you, I said. I changed clothes and opened the door to leave. Christiana called after me urgently. Where are you going? To play basketball with friends, I replied. Ever since I got together with Christiana, all my free time outside of work belonged to her. Shopping with her, entertaining her, taking care of her. I never had time for myself. Not anymore. From now on, I'll live for myself. Chapter 2. After an exhilarating basketball game with my friends, we sat on the benches, drinking water. One of them teased me, half joking. We thought you ditched us for good after getting a girlfriend. We were about to stop inviting you all together. I quickly apologized and promised, Sorry, guys. That won't happen again. Call me anytime there's something going on. Now that's more like it. Come on, let's hit the internet cafe for a few games. Ever since I started dating Christiana, I couldn't fit into her circle of friends and slowly drifted away from my own, all for her. I revolved around her completely, putting her first in everything. Looking back now, it feels incredibly foolish. By the time I got home, it was close to midnight. When I opened the bedroom door, I saw Christiana sitting on the bed, frowning. "Claude, why are you so late?" "I had to order takeout for both lunch and dinner. It was awful," she complained. I opened the wardrobe to grab a change of clothes. "I ate out at a restaurant today, too. The food was pretty good, just as good as home cooking." Christiana's eyes widened in shock. "You used to say you'd cook for me every day so I wouldn't have to eat takeout because it wasn't clean." "I was wrong. In this world, if you can't cook, you have to get used to takeout," I replied. Anger flashed across her eyes. "You still say you're not mad?" "You didn't call or text me the whole day and didn't come home to cook for me," I replied flatly. "I'm not mad. I was just out with friends. My phone died, so I didn't call." Seeing my indifference, Christiana threw off the blanket, stormed out of bed, and grabbed me as I was about to leave. Her voice turned sharp. "Can't you just be more open-minded? I've already told you that Horace and I are just like siblings. What's your problem, Claude? My patience has its limits." I pulled my hand free. "I'm really not upset. I'm just tired. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight." With that, I took my clothes to the bathroom for a shower. Christiana shouted at me from the bedroom, but I ignored her. For the first time in a long while, I slept soundly that night. Christiana moves around a lot in her sleep, kicking the covers several times a night. When I used to sleep next to her, I'd wake up repeatedly to tuck her back in. The next morning, Christiana was sitting in the living room, arms crossed, her face stormy. I knew she was waiting for me to apologize and cheer her up. In the past, whenever she was upset, I'd grovel for forgiveness, even when I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. She would then lay out a list of demands that I had to meet before she begrudgingly forgave me. This routine had gone on for years, and I was tired of it. I ignored her, got ready, and left the house. I had something important to do today. Chapter 3I submitted my resignation at work. My manager was surprised and tried to convince me to stay, but I was firm in my decision to leave. I had originally taken this job to be with Christiana and look after her, but that was no longer necessary. Last night, I made a video call to my parents, telling them I planned to quit and move back home. I saw the tears of joy in my mother's eyes. My dad's health had been declining recently, and running a small grocery store on his own was becoming too much for him. Although I called it back home, it wasn't exactly a remote place. It was a coastal city, a small but bustling third-tier city. Christiana was from the northern province and loved spicy food. She had always refused to visit my hometown, saying she couldn't get used to the cuisine. That was why I left my parents to come here and find a job near her. That evening, I invited my friends out for dinner and shared my plans with them. They agreed it was the right decision. My parents' health was more important. After a few rounds of drinks, someone asked, "What about Christiana? Is she willing to move back with you?" I fell silent for a moment before letting out a bitter laugh. "No, I think we'll break up." I used to think I could build a home here with Christiana and eventually bring my parents to live with us. But now that home is gone. I'm returning to the one place I'll always be welcome, the home where my parents are. When I got back that night, I saw Christiana in a white dress, her hair flowing down her back, and her face perfectly made up. She was holding her phone, video chatting with Horace. From the phone, Horace's voice came through loud and clear. "Christiana, you're so gorgeous. Even in a simple white dress, you look like an angel." Christiana giggled, covering her face playfully. "Really? You're still as sweet as ever." I stood there silently. That simple white dress wasn't simple at all. It was the one I'd bought for her with a month's worth of salary. When Christiana turned around and saw me, her smile vanished. She turned back to Horace. "I'll talk to you later. I'm heading out now. Grab something to eat while you wait for me." Christiana could smile and joke with Horace, showing him endless care and warmth. But she wouldn't even spare me a single smile. She glanced at me with disdain before walking past me to put on her shoes and leave. I knew what was coming, her silent treatment. Throughout our years together, she often gave me the cold shoulder because of Horace. Every time I'd panic and try every possible way to win her back. Not this time. I calmly carried the groceries I'd bought into the kitchen and made myself a late-night snack. I'd had too much to drink and barely eaten earlier, so I was a bit hungry. In the following days, I stayed busy with work handovers and packing. As the days passed, my belongings in the apartment gradually dwindled, but Christiana didn't seem to notice. Chapter 4 today, Christiana went out to meet Horace again. I sat at the dining table, scrolling through my phone as I ate. Horace had just posted on his WeChat moments. Whenever I feel lonely, you're always there for me. I'm so grateful. The photo showed Christiana and Horace leaning their heads together, flashing peace signs at the camera. Christiana's friends flooded the comments with likes and admiration, praising the bond between the two. For a long time, her friends had believed that Christiana and Horace were better suited for each other. They loved the childhood best friends trope and saw me as the intruder in their perfect story. Looking at the post, I suddenly felt that her friends weren't wrong. They did seem more like a couple than just friends. In the past, I would endure for as long as I could before gently reminding Christiana to keep some distance from Horace to avoid misunderstandings. Her friends would sneer, accusing me of being overly controlling and stifling her social life. Christiana never defended me. Instead, she joined in with their criticisms, telling me to stop restricting her and give her more freedom. On this post, Christiana commented, "And you're always there for me too." I exited WeChat with a calm heart and got up to clean the table. Thunder rumbled outside. A storm was brewing. I stepped onto the balcony to bring in the clothes, just as raindrops the size of beans started hitting the windows. In the past, rainy days would send me into a frenzy, calling Christiana to ask where she was so I could bring her an umbrella. I couldn't bear the thought of her getting even a little wet. But she and her friends mocked me for acting like a nagging mother, worrying too much and ruining their fun. This time, I took a shower early, lay down on my bed, and scrolled through short videos until I fell asleep without realizing it. The loud slam of my bedroom door being pushed open woke me up. Christiana stood there, furious. "Claude! It's pouring rain outside and your girlfriend hasn't come home yet. You're not worried at all? If it were my friends' boyfriends, they'd be blowing up their phones, asking where they were, or going out to pick them up with an umbrella. And you?" Chapter 5, I was taken aback, not understanding why she was so angry. I remembered a similar rainy evening when she had been out with Horace. I had called her several times to ask where she was and when she'd be back so I could pick her up. She'd been furious, saying I was worrying for no reason and that Horace would bring her home. She accused me of being unable to tolerate her spending time with Horace, using excuses to make her come home earlier. She said my controlling behavior was suffocating her. Now that I was giving her the freedom she wanted, she was questioning why I wasn't picking her up. I truly couldn't understand what she wanted from me. I replied calmly, "You're with Horace. I have nothing to worry about. You two can stay out as late as you want. He'll bring you home safely." Christiana's eyes widened in disbelief. She must have been wondering how I could mention Horace so calmly and even encourage them to spend time together late into the night. A moment later, she seemed to think of something and explained, "Today is the anniversary of Horace's mother's death. He's feeling really down, and as a friend, I couldn't leave him alone. Don't overthink it." I nodded in understanding. "I get it. On a day like this, he needs the company." My reasonableness left Christiana at a loss for words. She looked intently at my face, searching for any trace of anger, but found none. Softening her tone, she said, "Claude, I bought a new nightgown. It's black lace. Why don't you take a look and see if it suits me?" I glanced at her, surprised. This was as close to a truce as Christiana ever got. In the past, she always held her ground, waiting until I begged and pleaded for reconciliation before reluctantly forgiving me. I pretended not to catch the deeper meaning behind her words and replied, "There's no need. If you like it, that's all that matters. Go back to your room and get some sleep." Chapter 6, Christiana stared at me in disbelief, then stormed off in a fit of anger, slamming the door behind her. I got out of bed, closed the door quietly, and returned to bed to continue sleeping. I had a restful night. The next morning, my friend Lucas called to invite me to dinner. He had just returned from a business trip, and having heard that I was going back to my hometown, he suggested we meet up one last time, since such opportunities would be rare in the future. I felt a pang in my heart and agreed to meet him. Just before hanging up, he added, By the way, bring Christiana along. I won't call her again. It made sense. Lucas wasn't just my friend, he was also Christiana's friend. It was through him that Christiana and I had met. But with him mentioning it like that, I realized my trip back home couldn't be kept secret anymore. My personal matters were still unfinished, and I didn't want to complicate things. After hanging up, I saw Christiana coming out of her room. I hesitated for a moment, then looked up at her. Lucas invited us to join him for dinner tonight, she said, her eyes flickering with hesitation, like she was about to say more. But then her phone rang, cutting her off. She answered it softly, her voice gentle. Horace, don't worry, you won't lose it. I'll come right over and help you look. She hung up, already moving toward the door, slipping on her shoes as she spoke. Claude, Horace needs my help with something urgent. You go ahead and have dinner with Lucas. I won't be joining you. Just let him know. That evening, Lucas and I were at a lively food stall, glasses clinking in a toast, when Christiana walked in, Horace trailing close behind. Our eyes met for a split second. She looked surprised, maybe a little awkward. Horace, though, flashed me this challenging grin. In Chapter 7, Christiana approached us, her steps hesitant, and said, What a coincidence. You're here too. Horace chimed in, faking an apology. Christiana saw I was hungry and suggested bringing me here. I hope we didn't interrupt you guys, Lucas. Completely forgetting that Christiana had bailed on dinner, eagerly waved them over, calling the waiter to add more dishes. Christiana started to sit next to me, but I stood up, moved over to Lucas, and left the seat across from me for her and Horace. Her friends were right. She and Horace seemed like they fit together better. I wasn't going to get in the way of their chemistry. Christiana's face showed a flicker of nervousness. A couple of times she opened her mouth to explain, but something always cut her off. I kept chatting with Lucas, ignoring the constant pings of WeChat notifications on my phone. During a quiet moment, I checked it and saw a string of messages from Christiana. Claude, don't overthink it. After helping Horace find his stuff, he suddenly wanted to eat at this food stall. So I brought him here. I didn't know you were here. If you don't like this, I won't do it again. After dinner, let's go home together, okay? I bowed my head and typed back, No need. You and Horace can leave after dinner. I want to chat with Lucas a bit longer. I set my phone down, focusing on Lucas, ignoring her new messages. A few drinks later, Lucas was drunk, his arms slung around me, eyes red. Why are you suddenly going back to your hometown? You're my best friend here, and if you leave, I won't have anyone to drink with. My chest ached, heavy, tears welling up. My parents are getting older, and their health isn't great. I need to be with them. I paused, then added, Your company's expanding along the coast, right? When you're on a business trip there, I'll treat you to drinks. Lucas didn't say more, just raised his glass for another toast. Across the table, Christiana must have overheard something shocking. Her eyes widened, staring at me. In Chapter 8, Christiana turned to Lucas, disbelief in her voice. Lucas, what did you just say? Who's going back to their hometown? Lucas, a bit drunk, took a moment to answer. Claude's going back to his hometown. Didn't you know? I invited you both to dinner today as a farewell for him. Christiana stood up abruptly, pulling me into a corner. I leaned against the wall, meeting her gaze silently. Her eyes were red, tears brimming. After a moment she spoke, her voice trembling. When did you decide to go back to your hometown? Why didn't you talk to me about it? I lowered my head, fists clenched, fighting the urge to wipe her tears. I decided when I was video calling my parents on my birthday. You were out celebrating with Horace and didn't come back all night, so I didn't disturb you. Panic flashed across her face. She stepped forward, grabbing my hand. No matter the reason, I'm your girlfriend. You should have told me first about your decision. I looked at her, surprised. I'd always shared everything with her the moment I decided something, thinking it showed respect. But she'd always been impatient, saying, You're a grown man. Can you stop being so indecisive? Why do you need to ask me about everything? I'm not your mom. She took a deep breath, then cautiously asked, How long are you planning to stay there? I hesitated, then decided to keep it vague for now. I planned to stay for a few months at first. Christiana was stunned. A few months? Why so long? I lowered my head, silent. Finally, she sighed, no longer waiting for an answer. She looked at me, hopeful. Let's leave together later, okay? I wanted to say no, but then Horace stumbled over, reeking of alcohol. He grabbed her hand with an ease that felt too natural. Christiana, what are you doing over here? After dinner, come with me to buy some bedding. Christiana glanced at me guiltily, trying to pull her hand free, but Horace held on. She explained carefully, We grew up together. It's just the way we are, like siblings. There's nothing else to it. I nodded. I get it. Horace shook her hand again. I had a couple of extra drinks, my head spinning. Come with me to get the bedding. I threw up last night and made the bed dirty. If I don't change it, I'll have nowhere to sleep tonight. In Chapter 9, Christiana looked at him helplessly. Stop shaking my hand. I'll go with you. She'd once told me she hated people who drank. Back then, if I had a drink, she wouldn't let me near her, let alone help me change bed sheets if I'd thrown up. But with Horace, it seemed she didn't mind at all. She turned to me. Claude, you and Lucas keep chatting. I'll go with him to buy the bedding and change it. I'll come right back to take you home. I took a step back, voice flat. It's fine. He needs you more than I do. I'll just take a cab home later. She tried to grab my arm, but I dodged and walked briskly back to my seat. I said goodbye to Lucas and arranged a cab for us both. Just before getting in, Lucas, pretty drunk, suddenly seemed lucid. He slapped my shoulder. Christiana's been going too far. Her relationship with Horace must have hurt you, huh? Sorry, brother. I shouldn't have introduced you two. My throat tightened, tears slipping out. I turned my head to hide them. All these years, Christiana had left me for Horace countless times, and I thought I'd gotten used to it. But Lucas's words shattered the wall I'd built. Turns out I was still in pain. I used to have so many good memories with Christiana, but over time, with all the arguments sparked by Horace, those memories faded. I composed myself, smiling at Lucas. It's not your fault. He sighed. It's not yours either. Try to move on. I nodded, helped him into the car, and watched it drive away, just like my past, with Christiana was slowly fading. When I got home, Christiana called. Claude, Horace isn't feeling well tonight, so I won't be coming back. I need to stay and take care of him. In Chapter 10, it was the first time she'd bothered to tell me she wasn't coming home. In the past, when I asked who she was, with or when she'd be back, she'd get mad, accusing me of trying to control her. I'd have to coax her for ages to calm her down. This time, I didn't ask questions, just said softly, Okay. She explained further. His stomach's not good. If I don't take care of him, he might end up in the hospital. Don't overthink it. I'll be back first thing tomorrow morning. I replied calmly, Okay. She seemed like she wanted to say more, but Horace called her name in the background. She quickly said, Don't think too much about it. Once his stomach feels better, I'll be right back, and hung up. I let out a quiet laugh, staring at my phone. I'd been drinking more than usual with Lucas, and now I felt dizzy and nauseous. I stumbled to the bathroom, threw up several times, and started to feel a bit better, though my stomach still ached. I remembered my own stomach wasn't in great shape either. I'd been drinking too fast without eating anything first. I forced myself to find some stomach medicine, but couldn't wait for water to boil, so I swallowed the pills with cold water and collapsed into bed. That night, I tossed and turned, barely sleeping. By dawn, I managed a little rest. Christiana didn't come back until the afternoon. When she walked in, I was cleaning the house, which had gotten messy after a few days of neglect. She walked over, unusually offering, Let me help you. I glanced at her, curious, and shook my head. It's fine. I'm almost done. Since we got together, I'd always handled the housework. She never did. She lowered her hand, looking almost nervous. Horace's stomach's been bothering him again. He doesn't take care of himself, so he keeps getting sick. I stayed up with him last night to take care of him. I'm exhausted. I nodded sympathetically. That sounds really tough. She seemed thrown by my calmness, probably expecting more of a reaction. After a pause, she hesitantly asked, "Claude, I've been thinking, what if I go with you to your hometown?" In Chapter 11, I was caught off guard by her suggestion. In the past, whenever I'd asked her to come to my hometown for a long holiday, she'd flat out refuse, complaining about the long train ride, motion sickness on planes, unfamiliar food, or the language barrier. There was always an excuse. Before, I would have been thrilled, jumping to book flights and make arrangements. But now, I just said flatly, "No need. You have work to do. My trip isn't certain, so don't trouble yourself." Her smile froze and she said awkwardly, "Then I'll just wait for you at home." I didn't respond. Then she added, "It's my best friend's birthday tonight. Why don't you come with me?" I was surprised again. She never invited me to her friends' gatherings. They always looked down on me. Hearing that, she didn't push to stay with me. Instead, she asked tentatively, "If you're not going, should I really call Horace?" I smiled and nodded. "Go ahead." She studied my face, clearly searching for jealousy, but she was disappointed. "Don't you feel even a little bit jealous?" she blurted out. I found it odd. She used to hate when I showed jealousy, but now that I wasn't jealous, like she'd wanted, she seemed uneasy. "What's there to be jealous about? You've said before that you two are like siblings. Besides, he's closer to your best friend, so it's only natural that you'd go with him, right?" She opened her mouth to say something, but stopped. Instead, she just said, "Come back early, and if you're drinking, call me. I'll come pick you up." I thought for a moment and nodded. I'd definitely be drinking, and her offer to pick me up was nice. It'd save me a taxi. After dinner, I called her. The music on her end was loud, with people laughing and talking. I hesitated, then said, "I'm done here." "Is your party still going on? Maybe I should just take a taxi home." She stopped me quickly. No, I said I'd pick you up. Wait for me for a bit. I'll tell them I'm leaving." Just then, someone shouted from her side, "Christiana, hurry up and take Horace home. He's drunk, lying on the floor, and won't let anyone touch him." "He keeps shouting for you, hurry up!" She hesitated, then asked, "Claude, do you mind waiting a bit longer? I'll take Horace home first." I forced a smile, trying to be understanding. "It's fine. Go ahead and take him home. I'll just take a taxi myself." She rushed to explain, "Claude, don't worry. Once I drop him off, I'll come straight back. There's nothing going on." I know. You go ahead. I'll get a taxi." After hanging up, I called a taxi and went home. After washing up, I lay in bed. My phone rang. Christiana. I picked up, but before I could speak, I heard Horace whining, "Christiana, don't leave." My stomach hurts. "Can you rub it for me?" In Chapter 13, Christiana's voice sounded helpless. "Horace, stop messing around. I have to go back. Claude is still waiting for me at home." Let him wait. It's not like he's never waited before. "Christiana, my stomach really hurts. Can you bear to let me suffer like this?" She sighed. "I really can't deal with you. Is it here? Does this feel better?" "Yes, right there." "It's getting better, but can you rub it a bit longer?" I listened expressionless and hung up. It was probably a misdial. I watched a few videos on my phone, then turned it off and went to sleep. Christiana didn't come back that night. It was almost noon the next day when she finally got home. She changed her shoes and walked up to me, explaining, "After I took Horace home last night, his stomach problems flared up again. I took care of him until late, so I didn't come back. I ended up sleeping on his sofa for the night." I gave an uninterested and kept scrolling on my phone. She came over trying to take my hand, but I pulled away. Her emotions flared. "Claude, I really can't stand your indifferent attitude anymore. Can we sit down and talk about this? Isn't this fine?" I was confused. I wasn't interfering with her life, which was what she'd always wanted, wasn't it? Why was she upset now? She seemed to answer her own question. "Is this because of Horace?" I stayed silent. She gritted her teeth. "If you don't like me being in touch with him, I'll cut ties with him." "Just please, can you stop acting like this?" Her eyes were pleading, full of hope. In the past, no matter how much I argued, she wouldn't cut ties with Horace, but now she was offering so easily. What I'd wanted for years was finally happening, yet my heart felt calm, unmoved. I said flatly, "No need. It's your right to be friends with anyone. I have no right to interfere." Her expression grew anxious. Claude, do you not believe I'll really cut ties with Horace? I'll call him right now. She pulled out her phone, dialed Horace, and put it on speaker. He picked up quickly. Christiana, are you home? Already missing me after just getting back? In chapter 14, Christiana glanced at me in panic, then raised her voice to stop him. Horace, stop talking nonsense. I called to tell you that we shouldn't stay in contact anymore. My boyfriend doesn't like it, Horace shouted in disbelief. Christiana, what do you mean? How can you do this to me for that petty Claude? She reiterated, he's my boyfriend, and you're not allowed to say that about him. We won't be in touch anymore. That's it. She hung up quickly, letting his calls ring without answering. Turning to me, she tried to soothe me. Claude, look, I really have cut ties with Horace. Don't be mad anymore. Let's be good from now on, okay? I stared at her, shocked by how decisive she was. I'd planned to bring up breaking up when I left, but now it seemed it had to happen sooner. I spoke slowly. Christiana, you don't need to do this. I think it's better if we, before I could say, break up, she rushed forward, covering my mouth. Her lips trembled, tears falling one by one. In the past, when she cried, my heart would ache, and I'd frantically wipe her tears, comforting her until she smiled. But now I didn't move to wipe them. I just watched her quietly. Claude, let's go back to my hometown together, she said, hugging my waist tightly, her face pressed to my chest, soaking my shirt with tears. I thought my heart was guarded, impenetrable, but it still ached unbearably. Slowly, I raised my hand and pushed her away. With difficulty, I said, I'm sorry, Christiana, but we should break up. She clung to me again, shaking her head, tears streaming. No, Claude, I don't want to break up. I don't want to be apart from you, I gave a bitter smile. You should be happy. There won't be anyone bothering you anymore, preventing you from being free. She cried harder, pleading, No, I was wrong. Claude, let's not break up, okay? I won't say you're controlling me anymore, and I won't contact Horace again. Please give me another chance, please. I hardened my heart. Christiana, don't say that. We are from two different worlds. Now we're just returning to our own worlds. I'm really tired of these years. I pried her hands off me, retreated to my room, and let her sob uncontrollably outside. I didn't go out again. In chapter 15, the next day, I dragged my suitcase to the door and saw Christiana asleep on the sofa, her face still streaked with tears. I picked up a thin blanket nearby and gently covered her. I whispered silently, Goodbye. At the train station, her call came through, her voice frantic. Claude, where did you go? Why are your things missing? I didn't want to answer, but I softened. She was once the person I deeply loved. Choking up, I said, Christiana, I'm leaving. I wish you all the best from now on, she cried, shouting, Claude, how can I be okay if you leave? Where are you going? Don't leave. Wait for me to come with you. Take care, I said, hanging up. Her calls kept coming, but I didn't answer. Then messages poured in. Are you at the train station? I'm coming over now, wait for me. I've arrived, where are you? I didn't reply, dragging my suitcase to board the train. As I stepped through the entrance, I heard a piercing cry from behind the crowd. Claude! I froze for a moment, then kept walking. A few days later, I was at a supermarket near my house, checking goods, when a trembling, sob-filled voice came from behind. Claude! I stopped, slowly turning around. It was Christiana. She'd lost weight, looking far more haggard than before. You weren't just coming back for a few months, right? I nodded gently. Yes, I'm not coming back. Her eyes reddened as she choked out, Why did you lie to me? I smiled bitterly. You've lied to me countless times. I'm only lying to you